Hi everyone. Welcome to Talk About Life in Singapore, 9 o'clock prime time. How great we are and how thankful we are. And I want to come to the show today. And today's show is with Ben Ibrahim from Malaysia. But before we welcome Ben, I just want to share with the viewers and the listeners, the followers, the strangers who are dialing in either today, tomorrow, as we replay, as you click on to YouTube and podcast. I come with a heart of thanksgiving. Things can be really, really rough. I've spoke to people all over the world. Some places it could be really, really, really rough. And in Europe right now, it is raging. The situation is just raging in Europe, and they are stopping international flights. And in America, it is just raging and raging, even though some of the numbers are tapering down. It's increasing at a slower increasing rate, but it's still increasing. And if you look at the news today, uh, ladies and gentlemen who are now with us, the Straits Times, the national uh, megaphone of the Singapore government, the Straits Times has already said that at the rate that is looking at rolling out the vaccination, okay, it may take up to 7 years before any form of normalcy is going to come back. And usually, national papers do not talk and take things lightly. And it's kind of like quite a shock to me. Even as some of the scientists in America, they say that, hey, this year, even with successful rollout in 2021, we may not see normalcy, but maybe in 2022. But suddenly all these vaccination has kind of rolled to encumbrances. They're meeting a lot of obstacles if you look at the news throughout Europe and America, because there's a lot of things that is unforeseeable, like raw materials for the vaccines is running out. And I'm not saying that the vaccines are 100%, right? There's a lot of doubt over it. But it's hope against hope that somehow some form of normalcy will come back. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, 5th of February 2021, we are really into the second 12 month, right? This is actually almost the 14th month of the pandemic in this part of the world. And um, February 2021 is actually dedicated to people like Ben, his family, his children, the people of Malaysia, me in Singapore, the people of Singapore, the people in Asia, the people around the globe. And we're just in this united world as one. And how strange it is! It is beyond the Olympics. It's this time when people feel that their fate are tied together, their destiny is tied together. And for this February month-long show that's dedicated to the people, mothers, dads, teachers, students, workers, healthcare workers, the food businesses, the restaurant owners, the small mom and pop stores, the retailers, everyone that's in the street out there, the show is dedicated to you. And we have got an international panel from the US, Mexico, and today we've got Ben Ibrahim and myself from Singapore. We come with a heart of thanksgiving and we come with a heart of the one world that hopefully we can accompany you from every Tuesday to Sunday, 9 p.m. Singapore time throughout this month to give some moral support to those people who feel that their minds are being locked down, that they're being pressed, that their families are being pressed, and their finances are being pressed. But we are here, hopefully that we just give our voices of encouragement. We may not be able to do anything, and we can't do anything, but hopefully for those of us who tune in, we give some form of comfort that we are here. Someone who's a total stranger hears you out. And someone who's a total stranger in another part of the world is going through what you're going through. So with that, I'm going to give the floor to Ben. And a little bit about Ben, welcome him, and such an honor to have Ben here. He was the former Fox Sports Asia broadcaster for Fox News, and also the former host of the History Channel. So I'm so glad to have him here to represent the voice of Asia. And we want to showcase more talents, if we could. And even in the darkest hours, in the darkest tunnel, the light shine. And hopefully, when we give our light to the world gives back to us. So Ben, welcome to the show. Ben, this show is yours. The show Headlines and Bottom Lines. Tell us the headlines and the bottom lines in Malaysia, Ben, and say hi.
Thanks very much, Vicky. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show, to Vicky's show, and kudos to Vicky for putting this show together. Putting a TV show together is not easy, whether it's digital or television. So salute to Vicky on this one and pulling great, talented resources from all around the world who speak extremely well, who speak passionately, and who also speak with authenticity, shall I say,
In their hearts.
about
Yeah.
yeah, in the heart, what's going on in the world. This is not a sugarcoat thing. It's as real as it gets.
Not
As you
scripted at
can see,
all.
as you can see, my house is very real. I got a bag over there. I got a bag over there of children's books and whatnot. My children are going through Zoom school, which I'll be honest, they don't like very much. They like the human interaction. They love human interaction like their father. Meeting people, meeting new people. But you know what? I try to give them words of encouragement every day that this will pass. God willing, inshallah, as we say in Malaysia,
Inshallah.
this
Yeah.
will pass. And, the rough times will go and the positive times will be straightforward. My daughter came up with a new saying: stay negative, but be positive. Stay negative in terms of COVID negative, and we're healthy, but stay positive in terms of mind. So my daughter told me that. My soon-to-be daughter, soon-to-be 8-year-old daughter, next month she turns 8 years old. So children are very, very intelligent. I think we say that every day. So as you can see, my household is as real as it gets. Nothing authentic about it. I'm not wearing a jacket telling you like the weather channel. The weather like CNN or BBC or any of those very, very, very high international stations. Vicky has put something together with very, very thin resources, and well done, Vicky. And we're going to tell some real stories here. So Vicky has asked me a question: what's going on in Malaysia? Well, Vicky, I'm going to read from a piece of paper because I'm not going. It's nothing scripted, but I have some statistics to quote for our audience here tonight. Again, we're coming with facts. We're coming with real stuff. Unfortunately, news not so positive that COVID obviously dominates the headlines. In Malaysia, it's COVID. Second, it's politics, unfortunately. But politics in the sense that who is controlling the country? As many people know, our politics has been a bit topsy-turvy in the last 1 year. The former Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who was the Prime Minister of Malaysia for the longest time possible. And then after that, he stepped down last year. A new Prime Minister took over, Tan Sri Mahyudin Yassin, and he's trying his very best to steer a ship that is very, very tough at the moment because of COVID, and he's working extremely hard. I don't know him personally. I've been a master of ceremonies for a few events, and I've met him. He seems like quite a nice person. He's a workaholic. This man never takes a day off, even when he was a minister and other roles as well. He's always working. I know his son and his daughter-in-law. His daughter-in-law is a mother of some very talented gymnasts in Malaysia. And I see her, I do a lot of sports work here in Malaysia, and I see Farah is her name. I see her from time to time. And we talk about sports. And one thing that Farah always tells me about her father-in-law is that he's a workaholic. This man does not sleep, and he works super, super hard. He is, 72 plus. He's had a bit of a health scare with cancer, but he bounced back. Even when he was in hospital, he was still working. So this man is a very genuinely hardworking guy. I will be honest. I'm not trying to name drop. I don't believe in name dropping. I don't know him very well, but the little interaction of him that I had and the whispers that I hear from Putrajaya is where the government is, that this man is so hardworking, it's not funny. He puts a lot of young people to shame because he's in his 70s. He could easily retire and call it a day and just play golf, but no, he really, really wants to get Malaysia out of this challenge that we're in. And the challenge that we're in at the moment is that we've had 3,931 new cases slightly less than the 4,571 cases, but 19 deaths.
Today.
Overall infections, yeah. Overall infections in Malaysia, 235,000. 50,000 of those are active people, 845 deaths in total. And for those of you who know Malaysia quite well, especially our Singapore audience, Selangor, Johor, Kuala Lumpur, the very urban cities are the top three in terms of the COVID cases. And Selangor has just found 15 new clusters. They found 15 new clusters, but 5 of them are active in Selangor. So that's a bit of a concern. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm concerned as well. I mean, I'm sorry if I say that phrase. If I'm being honest, that's a phrase that I like to say a lot with friends and colleagues. But I mean, I've got nothing to hide from our audience here today, Vicky. I speak the truth. And 5 in Selangor, I mean, Selangor, that's very much, that's like Jersey or New York, you know? So that is, I mean, it's a good portion of the Kuala Lumpur population. And Kuala Lumpur is one of the biggest states here in Malaysia. And yet the numbers are extremely high. I mean, the good thing is that people are obeying the law. Like when you go, I mean, today I had to go to the supermarket to buy some food for the house. I have to go about every 2-3 days. The rule is that only one person, no more than 2 people per car. There's police roadblocks around, which I think is great. It might sound like a militia movie, but it's not, because Malaysia was doing so well last year. We were beating Australia. We were beating Europe. We were beating South America. Not that it's a competition, but we were very much up there in terms of doing a very good job in terms of curbing the coronavirus and COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, things got so good that everybody forgot and said, okay, it's gone. I think they thought it was SARS. So like SARS in 2009. Okay, it's gone. Let's go back to restaurants. I mean, they were still wearing masks. I went to a bakery near my house, which is quite a popular bakery because it sells some very nice bread and cakes and whatnot. That place was full. I couldn't get a seat. I'm like, wait a minute. I said to the owner, I said, are you following COVID-19 SOPs, standard operating procedures? Because the government is very big on SOPs. Yes, we're still doing scanning. Everybody has to sanitize their hands and wash their hands and social distancing. I said, what do you mean social distancing? I see people, your restaurant is full. During the first MCO in March 2020, you couldn't get, the restaurants weren't even serving people. So I was like, whoa, this is scary, Vicky. I mean, it was really scary. And because of a few other incidences, the numbers went up and up and up and up and up. And in January, boom, the government said, sorry, let's go back to lockdown. Yeah. And then that lockdown was, and then in late January, they said, let's extend the lockdown again. Yeah. The numbers got worse. Yeah. And then after that, they just announced the lockdown will continue until the 18th of February. I personally think it will continue for a bit longer until these numbers can get down to single digits. It will take some time. So it hasn't been, I'm sorry to be the bearer of, I wish I had more news, pleasant news to share with you. I try to have pleasant news for my children every day. They ask me every day, Dada, when is COVID-19 going away? They don't say COVID. They say COVID-19. Children know it. They know SOPs. They know social distancing. They know sanitizing, washing their hands. My daughter went to school for a few days and then the school was shut down on the 7th of January. The school told us very late that, okay, come back to school on the 7th. I'm like, wait a minute, why are you giving us such short notice? Most government schools in Malaysia, okay, have shut down. Our kids are not being educated because they don't have the resources. They have the desire, they have passion, they have the grit, they have the drive, they give the homework to the children. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, children are children. If they don't know arithmetic, trigonometry, geometry, they need to put up their hand and say, Cikgu, teacher. Cikgu means teacher in Malay. Yeah. Minta tolong sikit, which means I need some help. How are you going to do that if there's no school? Yeah. So is COVID, there's another big strategic question right there, Vicky. Is COVID going to, what's the word that I'm looking for? Is COVID going to spoil educational opportunities for a generation of Malaysians?
True.
No, so that's a big strategic question that all the experts are looking at, and it's a concern because education to us Asians is everything.
Yeah. Can I ask, um, your time spent about children away from school in Malaysia, how long has it been?
Oh, very good question there, Vicky. I mean, most of 2020, 80% of 2020 was Zoom. I mean, for the schools who had the resource,
Yeah,
just using my daughter as an example.
yeah,
Unfortunately, she does go to a school which does have Zoom resources,
yeah.
and I call it Zoom Grammar School. And yes, I mean, 80%. I think she only went to school for 2 3 months, which is from the August, which is probably from the August. No, August she was on holiday. September, October she was at school.
Yeah,
But
because I remember actually Malaysia started the lockdown on the 15th of March, am I right? Sometime in the mid of March 2020, it started its first lockdown. In Singapore was actually 6th of April. That was our first lockdown. We still haven't had my second lockdown.
you
Yeah.
see, my son, that's what I have to get used to every day. He just comes barging in. I tell him 52,000 times, look, Dada's got to work. Dada's got to do something special. But no, I mean, he's a 4-year-old. Does he understand?
Can
No,
you
he's
imagine you put him in front of a computer to do work? Does he do that?
well, it's a very good question again because he's 4 years old. I mean, his
Yeah,
sister is 8.
yeah,
So his sister, my daughter, would
yeah,
say, oh, okay, I mean, Zoom, all right, at least I can see my friends on the screen. Okay, it's not so bad. But he's 4 years old. He is learning, let's just say in the intermediate, he's learning how to read. They're learning mat, cat, hat, all the ats words. And like, if he deems it as boring, he'll just say, Dada, this is boring. He presses the red button.
wow.
Yeah. So like the red button being off. So I was just telling you this on the phone today, Vicky, or we're just speaking as friends. I mean, I have accepted, even though I used to try to not do it, but I have accepted the fact that I'm his high school buddy. So we go in this room. We have a baby chair. The baby chair's not here because my wife took
Yeah,
over today because I was on a series of Zoom meetings today,
yeah,
and we're in
yeah.
front of the screen with the teacher Mimi. Mimi is the teacher from his school or his play school, and we're learning cat, mat, hat, and I'm next to him on this chair right here. I kid you not. I'm on this chair right here. He's on a baby chair right there. And then when he gets the word mat, or when he gets the word galaxy, I'll just go to him, high five, buddy, well done. So that high five is that human interaction that he's
Yeah.
missing in school. I say, good job, buddy. I take a leaf out of my American friends because my American friends' two favorite words is good job. So I say, good job, buddy, well done. And like he's excited that he's doing a good job. Okay. I mean, imagine if you take that good job character out of the classroom or this classroom that it is,
Yeah.
just say, what am I doing?
Yes.
What am I doing? What is cat?
What is
hat?
the meaning of
rat?
all this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing it? Yeah.
So excuse me, let me close this door 1 second. If not, he'll come back in. And yes, sorry about that. But yeah, like so that is one aspect, and I've spoken to a lot of friends that tell me about it when I mean, I don't know a lot. I'm showing my age here a bit, but when we were growing up, we watched a movie called The Twilight Zone. We are in some sort of Twilight Zone bubble. And
Yes.
it doesn't matter if you're in
Well said,
America,
Twilight Zone bubble.
yeah, America, Australasia, we're all experiencing the same thing. It's frustrating. We can't even ask our parents for help because the SOPs of our country is that we can't visit other people's houses. And Chinese New Year is next week, Vicky. A lot of the Malaysian Chinese population are making a lot of noise about the government SOPs. So
Yeah.
I can get to that in a minute, but yeah, that's Malaysia at the moment, Vicky. I mean, Kong Hee Fa Choi is one of my favorite holidays in Malaysia, and advance Kong Hee Fa Choi to you and all of you
Yeah.
who celebrate Chinese New Year around the world. It's the year of the ox, right?
Yeah.
Is it the year of the ox?
I don't know. I can't remember. I think it's the year of the ox. Yes,
Like,
yes. I
the,
saw the
the ox,
icon in the newspapers.
the
Yeah.
ox, the ox is resilient. The ox is strong. So we need that ox spirit. Barack Obama is the ox. So we need that Barack Obama can or ox Southeast Asian spirit, because
Yeah.
I believe it is going to be a very similar year to last year.
Mm.
But the difference between last year and this year is that the mindset of the Malaysian people is that we are all more prepared for it, and we have accepted that this is the where the world is at. But right now, let's work around it. So business, like all entrepreneurs and startups and technopreneurs out there, that we're all telling each other, look, this is the year to be creative, business creative. So
Yeah.
let's get down to business and be creative, be different, be really, really different.
Yeah. And I know it's going to be, in fact, with no apologies, about this gloomy news out there, because that's the truth. And sometimes I feel that some of these reminders are very important. Like what you say, Singapore is going to celebrate, or a lot of Chinese communities around the world are going to celebrate the biggest festive season of the year, which is the Lunar New Year, which is the Chinese New Year. And but you know that Singapore doesn't have a lockdown. And if Malaysia, because our neighboring country, is any reminder to us, and any lesson that we are learning from looking at the case study, because Malaysia was so successful before, and people kind of like, they kind of like just drop their guards, right? And then now you see the cases come. And my worry or my concern as a people of the country, because I can't get out of this place, is that during this period of time, a lot of families, friends, they are going to do things that when no one is watching, they're going to close the doors and they're going to have big parties and they're going to have big karaoke's when the door is shut. And my concern is about the people. It's all of it. It's this dichotomy thing, Ben. Rules, regulations, enforcing. We hate it, right? Because the police is going to come and there's only but 2% in car, etc. But like what you say, rightly say, you go to a restaurant and then you see there's no social distancing between tables, between people. They're just crowding around. You're kind of worried because you're worried for your country. You're worried for your people. You're worried for the future. You worry for your children. What is the world you're going to go in? Likewise, in Singapore, I think the concern is during this period of time, no matter how much the keepers keep saying it, the keepers could be any ministers, etc. There's nothing political actually. It's really just people just telling you like, keep safe. The number of people that should be in a group is this. And when you're in a house, only the family members can visit you. And there's only going to be the X number of people in the household. And you're not supposed to have karaoke or something like that. But when you are in the house, you close your doors. People are going to do things when no one is watching. So my concern is, let God watch over us. It's like you are answerable to God. When no one is watching, God is watching. Are we concerned enough for our community and for our country and for the people as one to cross the chasm over safely? And that's the spirit of what we're doing now, Ben, right? You are in Malaysia, I'm in Singapore. We're not busybodies. I'm concerned about you, you're concerned about my people, because we're all in this together. And if there are people, if they just close their doors and they throw everything out in the air and have the grand parties, the beer parties, they're going to have the karaoke session again, have like 30 people in the household, 40 people in the household. My concern is that, no, and I hope that doesn't happen. Because if that happens, I think to me, I'm going to use a very strong word, Ben. I don't want people to sabotage my country. I don't want people to sabotage all these keepers, all these nurses, all these healthcare providers that are already in the hospital fighting for us. And my hope is that, if we can just like pull ourselves together a little bit longer, keep ourselves safe a little bit longer, and then have the discipline and the vigilance and that care for the community, the extra bit, come on, everyone, come on, just like back up a little bit, just the extra bit of strength, the extra bit of help to pull us through. That's the spirit of what we're doing. We're encouraging everybody. I think we will shorten the time of pain for everyone in the world if everyone just play their part. And the children then can have a normal life, right? People can go back to work. Some companies can open their doors. I think in order to shorten the and not to prolong that pain, I think we need to back up and really do things that is necessary because we have the love for our neighborhood, we have the love for the people, we have the love for our families and our friends. Just kind of buckle up and sit still and just stay home and just have that kind of, I know it's going to be discipline. I know it's going to be like fatigue. My worst concern is that, when the Chinese New Year comes, all this is going to be out of the door. All the cares and concern about social distancing and all this is going, because people are just going to shut the door and then they're going to do whatever they want. And that is something that I think only God sees, Ben. Whatever God we're praying to, only God sees, like, are you being the good citizen, the good Samaritan of your neighborhood? If we have the bigger love, I think that's the test, litmus test, Ben. If we have the bigger love for the country, if we have the bigger love for the community, I think we can draw that strength and kind of like hold on a little bit. Once everything is finished, I was talking to my 76-year-old uncle. I said that, please don't let anyone visit you for the Chinese New Year. Shut the door, close the gate, and let no neighbors come in, because you can never know, anyone who can just be a carrier and you don't even know that. So I say, please don't let me worry, and I don't want to visit you because I can't even promise myself, Ben. No one knows the situation, what we are in right now. So, I was just telling him that, please just do us a favor, shut the door, close the gate, and let no one in. And then when this is all over, we can have that Thanksgiving, the Chinese New Year, the Merry Christmas, or whatever you have it every day of our lives. Ben?
No, I totally agree with you, Vicky. Malaysia and Singapore, I mean, Malaysia more because we have a bigger population. We have 31 million people compared to Singapore, 5 million people. I mean, our cultures are identical. Our countries were one once upon a time called Malaya. And we share a lot of our identical values, really, really identical. Sometimes I think, it's a shame that Singapore and Malaysia are separate, because I really believe that together we can, be that.
It's only a political divide.
As global powerhouse. But I won't get into that political divide. I mean, you know what I mean? History happens, and things do happen for a reason. But again, I mean, yes, I agree with you, because Malaysia, we love to celebrate our festivities. I think we are the world champion of public holidays. We get 21 days of public holidays because we respect all the different cultures of Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Chinese New Year, obviously, Deepavali, which is to the Malaysian Indian community. And, there's others as well, which is Waisak Day. Last week was Thaipusam for the Indian community. But a lot of the Indian community could not practice Thaipusam because there would be a lot of social interaction in Batu Caves.
Yeah.
A very famous icon here in Kuala Lumpur.
The Batu Caves.
So, no, I mean, you said it right on the head, but people are really sensitive about it. Oh, why can't I see my family? I mean, our parents are everything in Asia.
Yeah.
especially to us Malaysians and Singaporeans. But you know what? Last year in Hari Raya, Vicky, Malaysia's a Muslim, predominantly Muslim nation. 60% of the population could not balik kampung. Balik kampung in English means go back to your hometown. They couldn't go back because the borders were closed. But they couldn't go back. I mean, hardly anybody celebrated a Hari Raya festivity. Okay, I mean, I didn't see my family. We live almost most of my family, my in-laws are 15, 20 minutes away from here. My parents are 10, 15 minutes away from here, but we couldn't see each other, okay, on that day because of the social distancing and MCO rule. And we want to abide by that. Yes, it's painful. China did not have Chinese New Year last year.
They canceled it. They canceled Chinese New Year.
And look at them now. And look at them now. Look at them now. They are as not super normal. I don't think anything will be super normal for a while, but they are at a safe level.
Safe level.
So patience comes to those who practice it. So they practiced the patience. They went through the unglamorous stuff. They did the hard yards. And who knows? I mean, I hope that nothing bad will happen to these countries like New Zealand and China, who have done a very good job being the gold medal standard of practicing social distancing and good COVID-19 health practices. But yes, I think we have to just suffer a little bit more morally for the bigger picture. And if that means not going for the reunion dinner next week for most Chinese families, not seeing each other's family for a little bit longer, and it brings the numbers down. I get frustrated that every time I read the paper, every time I go onto to this website, it's called the Vibes News. It's a new website in Malaysia. I write for the Vibes on a freelance basis. I have a column with them. But there are a lot of ex-senior journalists in Malaysia who's working for this portal. You can check it out, VIBES. And very up-to-date information and interviews with many senior politicians and decision makers and VIPs. And whenever I read the cases that the numbers are, my editor, Manve, he's sending me a WhatsApp every 6 hours about the numbers. And it's always up, up, up. And I'm just like, what the F, man?
Yeah.
Why can't we get it right? Why can't we stay at home? You should only go out if you need food to eat.
Yeah.
Why are people why are people, what is it about people? I know it's easy said than done. Everybody's got different circumstances and whatnot. But there's something there because what changed? Because Malaysia did a great job last year.
Yeah.
What changed? I would love to know the answer to that question. What changed?
Yeah.
So if this continues, people will not profit. Business will go down. There's a lot of restaurants that have closed. There's a lot of service industry people who have closed. Airline industry staff have lost jobs. Yeah. And everybody's hanging on to a lot of some schools. Some schools have been around for the longest time, Vicky. I never thought would say they are closed down. No more business.
International schools. Yeah.
No, not just international schools, local schools is schools.
Oh, really?
You need bums on seats to get the sales up and profit going, to operate, to sort of manage all the basic costs. But how are you going to do that when there's no students? Even if you do open the schools, the parents would be scared to send their children to the schools. Yeah. The school would say, we were scared to send our children to the school, even if they were open, because unfortunately they weren't. But if they were, I would be scared. The numbers are too high. Yeah. We are seeing, the best way to explain COVID is you are seeing, we're trying to see a ghost. You cannot see it.
You can't even see it.
Yeah. You can't see it. Yes. With the flu or a cold, you can see the symptoms. Okay, someone is sneezing. Someone is, but in COVID, the first thing that happens is you get a temperature. We can't see that on a person.
Yeah. And a lot of people have no symptoms. And a lot of people are asymptomatic.
Number two, you lose your taste buds. We can't see that.
Yeah.
How's your taste buds going? We're not going to ask that question. Number three, you feel a bit dizzy. We can't see that.
Yeah.
So we don't know. my mother was coughing and sneezing in the last few days. She got so paranoid, she took a COVID test. She's negative. God bless. But you know what? People are paranoid. That's another thing. So, I mean, look, Vicky, it's a shame that my first episode is a bit dull in terms of bleak, but that is what Malaysia is. But one thing I just want to share with our audience that is sort of stealing a little bit of the headlines away from COVID, which is not a bad thing, is that the former Attorney General, Tommy Thomas, has come up with a book about in his time in office and his interactions with certain politicians. And certain politicians don't like it.
Okay.
So they are taking him to task that he broke a code of conduct, and this is according to the reports that I read in the media, that they're not happy with him, and you know why is he coming out with all this confidential information? So you know that has a lot of people are trying to buy that book, but you can't really go anywhere because how are you going to buy the book? You know. So I would like to read the book, but in good time. I mean, I'm not rushing to read a book like that. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear his story, but you know, I'll buy that book in good time. But yeah, that has sort of taken the negative gloss of COVID, and you know, people are saying, you know, what's going on here, what happened to Malaysia, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah. Ben, if you right now go out to the community. You know, you're living in the heart of KL, right? And I came to KL, I think about 10 years ago, Bukit Bangsa, I think. Bukit Bangsa, right?
Bukit Bangsa is like...
That was like, I think 15...
Bukit Bangsa is like Singapore, Vicky.
Yeah, and then you've got all these clubs and you've got all these street food. My friend actually brought me there because I never knew much about Malaysia. I only know about certain Chinese streets where I can buy things off the street. I love that because I love the bargain. And she brought me to Bukit Bangsa. Now tell me a particular place like that, the downtown heart of the city. What's happening there?
It's quiet, Vicky. It's quiet. I mean, seriously, you drive. I haven't gone to the city. I live in the city. I live in a place called Ampang, which is 5 minutes away from the city. But yeah, when I go to the supermarket near Jalan Tun Razak, which is the main road of KL, it is quiet. And KL is infamous for traffic, like New York or Indonesia or Jakarta or other busy cities around the world. But it is quiet. It is quiet. It's like during Hari Raya, which is the Muslim festival. If you were to drive around KL and Hari Raya, there is no traffic. It is quiet because everybody balik kampung went back to their hometowns.
Yeah.
So it's really quiet. You know, most of the shopping malls are really, really quiet. It's like that right now, which is a good thing. If traffic is heavy, that means people are not abiding by the SOPs. But it's quiet, and that means people are abiding by the SOPs. But there's roadblocks here and there. The police are doing their job. Yep, and I support that.
Okay, can you tell us about this roadblocks thing? We don't have it in Singapore.
Well,
I can't imagine. Can you tell us what does this roadblocks things?
Well, you don't need to have it in Singapore because your community is too small. But our community,
there's no land to run.
I mean, Singapore is the size of a cricket bat.
Yeah. Tell us what kind of roadblocks do they put?
I'll give you an example. Like I went to the supermarket today to buy orange juice, cereal, bread, vegetables for the house. We ran out. Obviously, have to do that every about 4 or 5 days. And then the police, there's a roadblock. There's police set up with barricades, and they will stop you. And they'll check your car. Is there more than 2 people? Oh. Which is good.
I see.
And I give them full credit. Police Diraja Malaysia.
Enforcement.
They're doing. I feel sorry for them. They're wearing masks. They're in the front line. They could catch COVID-19
in the sun.
Yeah, they could catch COVID. God forbid. But you know, they're putting themselves out there. They've got families. Yeah. You know, they're working hard around the clock at night, policing the areas, making sure everybody's at home. So full credit to them. I mean, being a policeman, you always get a lot of shtick for being a policeman because you have to you have to enforce unpopular rules,
Yeah,
but now they're doing a good job. And when they saw me today, I had my mask on. They saw me with me. They just went like this, and I just waved. I just just put my window down a little bit and said in Malay, "Good job, thank you," and put a smile on their face because they're working around the clock, Vicky, and they're what we call the frontliners.
Yes. And I like to echo you on that. And sometimes I mean there are two extreme ends of the people, right? I think you and I fall into a similar category. Like we want to have the discipline, we want to keep the vigilance, and we are concerned about the community. Is this going to really prolong, etc.? And people, the other group of people who probably just I'm not saying it's good or bad, right or wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is. That they just want to just be out there again, and they just want to have that normal life. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. They want to go shopping, they want to do as much as they can, and they don't want to have all these things that is imposed on them. And I'm not saying that, I'm not going to make a judgment on them. I'm just saying that there are two characteristics. But I think because of this prolonged thing that's going on in 2021, if everyone have the vision, have that eye on the ball, that okay, we need to cross this over by the end of, for example, October 2021. If everybody can do that, which is like what the MCO is doing, and this is what all the countries are doing, if we can really just be vigilant and be disciplined and really have that love for the country, the keepers, the enforcers, the frontliners, the essential workers, just hang on a little bit. And then I think that date would come. And if we don't have the eye on the ball and we don't have that date in line, that I should say, that final line of at the Olympics, that finishing line, I think if people don't have that finishing line in mind at all times, it is so hard for people to really continue their life and just throw all these precautions up into the air. What you were saying, the policemen, they are the keepers. They are the father, the son. They are someone who is taking care of us because they need to enforce to make sure the country is going to be safe. They are the people who's going to have the big picture. And if we don't have the big picture like them, and we try to exercise our freedom and try to push that limit, I think we're not doing this keepers a favorite. Or I mean, and they are just like our brothers and sisters. Ben, any comments on that?
Not too much there, Vicky. I mean, you've spoken there with great passion and care, which one thing I really like about you. One of the many things I like about you, Vicky, is that you speak with about care. And yeah, I mean, you said it right. Brothers, sisters, care. Let's all look after each other. Let's put a social distance shoulder around each other, and say, look,
Yeah.
we can get through this.
Get through this.
Okay, I think the one company that's probably making a bit of money from COVID is Zoom. Everything Zoom lens.
For the Zoom, yes.
I wish I invested.
Yeah, I just paid for the Zoom.
Yeah, I wish I invested in Zoom once upon a time, or Google Chats or whatever. So yeah, I mean, Zoom is the norm. Like people are sending me links for a Zoom link. Hey, let's see each other, and we're having a meeting and discussion. I've said to a friend last week, let's have a virtual coffee. We did. Okay, it's not the same as a Starbucks coffee or coffee bean coffee or whatever, or a teh tarik, as we say in Malaysia, which is a tea, a sweet tea here in Malaysia. So yeah, I mean, again, I won't say too much about it because I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this time will pass and we just need to get through it day by day. I mean, I'll be on. I mean, I feel exhausted by the end of my days, and I'm saying to myself, "Wait a minute, I'm not that old. I mean, but why am I exhausted? I'm exhausted because I've gone back to school. But this time, my best friend and my buddy is my son.
Yeah. Tell
Okay.
us about how you operate now, you and your wife
Oh,
and your daughter. There are four of you in lockdown. You know, and this in this prolonged lockdown, you guys like a family, you know, and you guys are Muslims, right? How often do you pray, and how does that faith come into play to keep the family and keep the sanity?
well, that's a good question, and I don't want to get too altruistic. I want to respect religion, and I know some
Yeah.
people feel religious views.
So in Singapore, we respect all religions. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of
Malaysia
it.
we do too, but
Yeah.
I know in certain other parts of the world, hey, don't talk about that. You know, it's like okay, which is cool. Because I studied in Australia once upon a time. I did my university in Australia, and Australians are very sensitive about religion. You can't even ask someone if they go to if they practice any religion or not. So Americans are the same to a certain degree, but I mean, you know, but to each their own. But anyway, to answer your question, yes, we're Muslim. We try to pray as many times together as we can. I try to ask the children to pray with me when I pray. And you know what? When we pray to Allah, when we pray to God, after the prayer, our prayer is only 5 minutes. And then I'll ask them to ask Allah, God, in English, what would they like, you know? And like my son, he's quite cute. His name is Kyle. He'll always say, Allah, please let COVID go away. Please never
Oh, so sweet.
let us never get hungry.
Wow.
And let us always be together. And I'm like, this is a 4-year-old boy. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
And I'm not going to take the credit. I'm not going to take the credit. I mean, you know, my wife
The
does a very good
upbringing
job.
from the family.
Yeah, now my wife does a very good job with teaching him certain things. I teach him certain values. We teach him certain values. I mean, YouTube teaches them certain values. So negative or positive. So you mean that is the reality of life. So to answer your question, yes, we do come together. We do try to
Yeah.
pray together. Not all the time. I will be honest, not all the time because we're busy. My daughter's doing school from 9 to 4 every day, and then on just to be grateful for what we've got. And it's a reminder again about that phrase that I said at the top of the show: stay negative but stay positive. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be positive in terms of the things that you're doing. And my
Yeah.
daughter trying to sneak in there to see if I'm done. So like, you know, just staying positive that we are together. We are not sick. Alhamdulillah. You know, we're healthy,
Yeah.
and that's a major win.
You know, I just want to tell you that, you know, Singapore, Malaysia, brothers and sisters, cousins, and across the causeway, I tell you, I love Malaysia so much that my husband and I will drive and just be in the jam for 1.5 hours just to get to Malaysia at the bridge.
You know, when I was with
Because I love the teh alia and the teh tarik so much, you know. I always say, hey, you know, give me extra power for that ginger without sugar, you know. And I was, can you give me the fresh ginger and all this, you know. It's actually like what you say. It's this amalgamation of the society, the amalgamation of the culture, the food, the people, the language, and even the religion, the faith, you know. And there's so much, even like in Singapore, I think people are really surprised because I was in France for about 7 years. You know, people are really surprised that, you know, in this part of the world, for me, to me, I mean, I'm a Singaporean person. I'm a Singaporean girl. Um,
mm,
but I'm not like a typical Singaporean girl, because if I'm a typical Singaporean girl, you won't see me in YouTube and doing this. But you know, when I'm there, it's like, you know, I suddenly realized that a lot of countries couldn't achieve what we could do, like in Malaysia and Singapore. And therefore, Malaysia, when you talk to a lot of people, they say, hey, Malaysia is a good place. And there's a lot of people going, instead of coming to Singapore, but they go to Malaysia because the cost of living is cheaper in Malaysia. It's more affordable. And I should say it's more reasonable in Malaysia. But there's the same love for Malaysia and in Singapore for that diversity of culture, that diversity of differences, and that the love and acceptance of that diversity and the love of acceptance of differences. I think there is that beauty in each of our countries, and that's something that it keeps coming back to me. It really keeps me feeling really proud that I'm born in a place whereby to me it's so normal to have a friend of a different faith. It's so normal to have a friend that is totally look different, just totally different, and to say that, hey, this is a friend. I'm talking about friends, and my girlfriends are of a different faith. I mean, my girlfriends are Muslims, are Hindu, and all this. We all have this care and concern and love, and especially so in this pandemic times. And that goes to show that, you know, what more goes to show? I mean, what more do we need to reveal that that love and that oneness in humanity amongst the differences and amongst the diversity, Ben? Ben, you here?
Sorry, Vicky, there was a bit of a lag there.
Yeah,
Just
I know the computer.
yeah.
Yeah, so you heard what I just said, right? The diversity.
Yes. No, no. I mean, Southeast Asia, the beautiful part about Southeast Asia is that we are a diverse region, you know, a melting pot of cultures, religions, people. And that's why people from the West, when I say the West, North America, Europe, Australasia, when they come to Southeast Asia for an expatriate assignment, they love it. Some of them don't even want to go back. They always say that this place,
They always marry a Malaysian wife.
well, not all the time, but I mean, those who marry a Malaysian wife, but they just find that the opportunities and the people are friendly and the people are open compared
Honest,
to,
yeah.
I mean, one people that do love Southeast Asia a lot is Europeans, because they say European entrepreneurs. They always say that, oh my God, it's so easy to set up a business here. Labor is quite cheap. I mean, sometimes you feel insulted when you hear that, but you say, hey, that's true. I mean, labor compared to America or
Yeah,
the European
the
Western
taxes
nation,
over there. Yeah,
it's really expensive. Like I'll give you an example: a nanny in the Western countries is very expensive.
yeah,
A nanny here is very affordable.
yeah.
You know, very affordable. So I mean, that's just one of many examples. Factory workers, executives, blue collar, white collar workers. I mean, yeah. So I mean, Southeast Asia is great, and I think moving forward, I mean, that's another topic for another day. That I think the Southeast Asian minds need to come together to brand our region as the best.
So, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. It's such a wonderful session with you, Ben. Uh,
Thanks,
you
Vicky.
know,
Likewise.
yeah, and we will have you come back again for the next three uh, three Fridays in February. And a little bit for the listeners and the viewers who are tuning in just right now. This is the prolonged pandemic. We hear you. It's a show that's dedicated to the men in the street, the moms and the dads, sisters, brothers, teachers, students, workers, construction workers, labor workers, anybody with a handphone. I mean, this is dedicated to the people to tell you that we hear you and we hear your struggles. And even to the mom and pop stores, the retailers, the restaurant owners who are struggling, people who are struggling with decisions. Should I keep the business or not? Should I have another round of cost-cutting measure? Should I retrench my worker or not? And so it is people going through their deep thoughts. And these are the unspoken thoughts because it's deep and people don't really share. I mean, in Asia, people don't want to commiserate, to share the misery. They don't want to share the weakness. They don't want to share that they're vulnerable, which is even harder or even a double whammy because of the prolonged lockdown pandemic. You know, in the very first place, nobody wanted to share the misery, right? People just wanted to share the Rolex watch in Asia. Yeah, you know. But the truth is that they keep that inside, and that's why there's an explosion of mental situation here. So this show is dedicated to the people, the month of February, and I like followers, subscribers, viewers, strangers who are dialing in, YouTubers, millennials, write to us at or comment below. I usually will off my comment, but write to us. If my comment is open, comment below and tell us you want to be on the show and you want to talk to Ben or myself to tell us what you are going through and just share a voice so that you don't have to go through it feeling alone in this dark tunnel that doesn't seem to lead anywhere right now. I mean, the light at the end, it seems like you can't find it. It could be you're turning around the corner and you hope that the light is there. It's turning around the corner, you hope the light is there. You know, so this February show is dedicated to everyone. And Ben Ibrahim, one of our former hosts of the History Channel, his show on the pandemic, the prolonged pandemic, we hear you. It's about what's happening in Malaysia, the headlines, the bottom lines. Bottom lines are the people, the money, the jobs, the struggles, what's happening in the street. He's going to share with us his heartfelt and gut felt stories and his comments of his observations about what is going through in that part of the world, in Malaysia and in Asia, particularly Southeast Asia. So we would like you to tune in to Ben's show on every Thursday, 9 p.m. Singapore time in this zone, 9
Is it
p.m. Malaysian time,
Friday? Friday, Vicky?
Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Friday, 9 p.m. Singapore time and Malaysia time. Tune in to his world and hear from him. And hopefully, even though in these dark times, the news may not be too bright, but it goes to show that we are all in the same destiny. We are all in the same boat. We are all in this together. So hopefully that gives you some form of a comfort. So Ben, for the last 2 minutes to 3 minutes, do you want to wrap this up with the final thoughts?
No, yes. Look, Vicky, you said it so eloquently well. I'm here to partner with Vicky every Friday to give up my time to tell the world what's happening in this part of the world, not just Malaysia, but Southeast Asia in general. I mean, Vicky's from Singapore, I'm from Malaysia. I'll let our powers combine and tell the world what's going on here. Hopefully, God willing, that there's a bit more positive news to share in the weeks to come. But that's news for you. News is sometimes we always tell the good, bad, and the ugly. We talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. But Vicky and I, we're very positive people that we hope that the bad and the ugly become pretty and good. And those are the stories that we'd like to tell. But whatever happens, we'd always tell it straight. We won't sugarcoat it. And we are happy to feel free to reach out to us. I mean, despite what Vicky said about me, I'm a presenter, I'm this, I'm that. With that channel, we're just still normal people. 2 years and a month and a heart. And we have the heart to listen to everybody. So have a great weekend. I know some people in America, it's still Thursday over there. So have a great weekend or have a great week ahead. And we look forward to the connection and the communication of this wonderful channel, which is Talk About Life.
Yes, thank you so much, Ben. Before Ben log off, I've got one bittersweet news from Malaysia for Ben. Last week there was this news that I read. It really touched my heart. I mean, it's bittersweet. There was a woman who was caught in Malaysia. She was actually shoplifting for some cakes and coal patches. But when she was caught, the police kind of like interrogated. She actually explained that she actually needed the cake and the coal patches for the son who's having a fever down at home. And of course the police heard the story, but what happened is that the bittersweet thing is that of course it does reflect the struggle of the people. But one thing came up is that the following day, the group of policemen bought bags and bags of food and the things that they need for the household to give it to her. And that kind of really warms my heart. It's like, it's like it brings a tear to my heart. It's like, in these times, and of course they interviewed the police, and I don't think they did it for the media at all. And even if they did, I think they would want to shine an example that this is something that they should be doing for the community, because people are struggling. And can you imagine? People are struggling, which is true. It doesn't only happen there. It happens in America. If you look at the news in Europe, they call them the new poverty. It's happening in Europe now because people are digging into the pot of the flour, the last bit of the flour and the last bit of the rice. This is happening in Europe as this prolonged pandemic pans out. But there's a lot of love. There's a lot of embracing of, like, we need to share. We need to just really be patient and share with whatever we can to help the neighbor, and whomever the neighbor is. It's not like knock the next door neighbor, but the neighbor could be just like Malaysia and Singapore, right? So that is the bittersweet, which I think is actually bittersweet is sweet. It's a sweet thing that comes up in the midst of hardships. I think it brings out a lot of love from people. I think people are really humbled in this pandemic. So with that, I hope to share with Ben. It's a beautiful story, and I don't want to even drag Ben down about stories in Singapore. There are bitter stories here too, which I hope to share with pockets of it throughout next week. Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for the keepers and the enforcers in Malaysia. That news really just brought a tear to my. I guess I'll watch the video clip when the police actually brought bags and bags and then knock on the door and give it to the family. This is in the times whereby people share the love.
Pleasure, Vicky. Pleasure, everyone. And I won't say goodbye. I'll say catch you next week. So
yes, catch you next week, and hopefully we'll have more to share. So the bittersweet and the sweetness in the bitterness. Thank you. Bye. See you, Ben.
See you, Vicky.